Welcome. I hope you got a beer. Thank you, Circle CI, again for the drinks. Old school, trusted my presentation with the organizers. Big old stack of paper. Let's do it. Good afternoon. I expect this to be a and contentious talk. I'm going to suggest the radical notion that you, here in this very audience, are people.
Are we all?
Not only that, but I will make the audacious claim that the person next to you, the person behind you, the person in front of you, flight attendant style, they're all people too. Any inductive math proof fans out there? I can't see. You have to say woo. All right, thank you. Base case you, also them, extrapolate to everyone? No? Okay, how about old-timey film fans? Spartacus? I am people. No? All right, that's fine. That's fine. We're gonna start out talking about you. You are a person, you have needs. And you need to prioritize those needs. Getting those needs met is the kindest thing you can do for yourself. And it makes for a better you in your professional and your home life. Then we'll move on to others. They are also people. Some of them are difficult people. Your collective lives will improve if you treat each other as humans. Finally, we'll talk about what you can do when you screw up, and what you might focus on to keep you living your best life and raising up others alongside you. My name is Lauren. To bolster a previous claim, I will tell you, I am a person. Thank you for the chuckles. It's rough. Let me tell you a little bit about me as a person. I received a LinkedIn recommendation recently. My first ever. As you might note from my lack of social media presence, I tend towards being a lurker. So this was quite a surprise. The review described me as transparent. Being transparent. I like to think of myself as a riddle wrapped in an enigma. Also usually wrapped in a hoodie. But realistically, I probably do come across as transparent. There's a number of reasons for this. I find it to be an effective way of interacting with other people. And being transparent is how I feel comfortable. So far, do I sound natural? If not, am I sweating profusely? Shaking? Maybe both. These are all tells for when I feel like I am presenting a version of myself that is inauthentic. I am deeply uncomfortable. Deeply uncomfortable trying to present a version of myself that feels fake. Being transparent works for me. For me, it's an effective way of interacting with other people, and it's what feels right. But that doesn't mean it's the right way of conducting yourself. We're not in disclaimer country. Byron, there was no yeehaws. Unless, anybody? Yeehaw? Thank you. There is no right way. What works for me may not work for you. We are different people. We have different styles, different ways of interacting with the world. And the world has different ways of interacting with us. I'm super privileged. If you hear privilege and you bristle, even a little bit, try to reframe it as advantage or head start. I've had the advantages of being formally educated, being financially secure, being white. All of these things have made my way through the world a little or a lot easier. These head starts often compound upon each other. Not only is what I've got to say not necessarily right for you, but it could be actively harmful. I found myself professionally rewarded for my buzzword, radical candor. But if you're in an organization that doesn't want to hear it, doing what I do could put your job at risk. Good news, job market, super hot. Everybody here is hiring. So you shouldn't have to work somewhere that doesn't acknowledge that you are a human person. I deeply believe that greater empathy and compassion for yourself and for others would make the work lives of countless humans better. So much so that I submitted a talk proposal on the topic. To my delight, and also to my surprise, the talk was accepted. I went pretty much immediately from, to, oh. This reaction of mine gives me a great opportunity to talk imposter syndrome for a second. I'm going to use imposter syndrome as shorthand for you feel like you don't belong, or you worry that others will realize that you don't belong. For the record, I have real complaints about the use of imposter syndrome because it puts all the burden for the situation on you, the individual. I think more often the issue is the system. The problem is with the environment and not with you. Yeah, you probably should be more confident, but that's a Band-Aid. And what we really need is systemic change so that you're not questioning yourself and your value at the outset. That tangent aside, my looping thoughts in preparation for this very talk. This is no big deal. I am excited to spread the message. Oh gods, what am I going to do? It doesn't even matter. If my talk is a flaming dumpster fire, I will never see these people again. No, it's recorded and people on your team are coming. It's okay. I've got lots to say on the topic and plenty of anecdotes about personal shortcomings and the way that empathy makes things so much better. But if you talk about personal shortcomings, then they'll know, in my carefully protected secret, that I'm basically no idea dog, or making it up as I go along, and somehow no one has discovered how unqualified I am, and that's the point. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. They're not perfect. It will be okay. Pointer number 1, no one is coming to hear you fail. It's like the daily double. We'll happen upon Lauren's pointers as we travel through this half hour together. I get nervous getting up in front of people. I think most people do. Humans evolved this super intricate stress system to help keep us alive when, something is trying to chase us down and eat us. Super cool body, but no one is trying to eat you. This doesn't do me any good in the workplace. The best I can do is remind myself that no one is wishing me ill. Frankly, if you are here to watch me crash and burn, I don't give any cares about you anyway. This notion that no one is coming to hear you fail extends to basically every interaction in your life. Pretty much no one is here to root for your failure. Even in extreme circumstances, like in literal competitions, people might be rooting for their own success or that of their team, but they are not just straight up wanting you to fail. It may be a small comfort, but it is nevertheless a comfort. The vast majority of people want only neutral to positive things for you. The implication here for me is that, yeah, I get nervous getting up in front of people, but you want me to do well, and so we're all working towards the same goal. So, imposter syndrome. You don't know everything, and that is okay. Regardless of what your job is, what your role is, it is extremely likely that you work in a field with literally unending areas of expertise. You can't know it all. No one else knows it all. Not only that, but you sit there thinking, colleague X knows it all, and she's going to find out how little I know, and I can't let her know that. Basically, no one knows what they're doing. And I don't just say that working at a startup. The story of my adult life, from formal education through stodgy enterprise and nonprofit sectors, is a series of realizations that everyone else is just making it up to. Oh, you're not. No, Lauren, I know what I'm doing. You might. You might be one of those fortunate people who has figured out their purpose, their calling, and also has the knowledge to take action on their part in that plan. But to most of you out there, if you think you know what you're doing, I think you're wrong. Pointer number 2, you can do anything. But you can't do everything. You improve where you spend time. If you are always self-conscious over your lack of deep networking knowledge or your crappy Python skills, are you ever actually working with them? That person who uses Vim for every freaking thing is going to be better at using Vim than you are. You have the capacity to be a Vim wizard. Don't laugh, it's true.
I am.
We have a Vim wizard in the house, everyone. But you can't be a Vim wizard and also an expert in transit gateway implementation and the ideal sharding strategy for your multi-region data store, and also the best mentor for your greener teammates. Your time is finite. Pick out what you want to be doing, where you need to grow your skills, and dedicate time and effort in those spaces. Growth mindset. You don't know it now. You don't have mastery now, but you totally can. You can add on to your Vim wizardry, if you're so inclined. You can do anything, but not everything. Pointer number 3, learn on the job for fun and profit. If you don't know Terraform and you need to write a module, learn some damn Terraform and get the module written. It's good for you, it's good for your resume, it's good for your team, and for your future career. Given the field you've chosen, it is extremely likely that ongoing learning and development is important to you. It's probably something that you need to feel satisfied in your career. You have human needs. Humans have needs, a wide array of astonishingly complex needs. You are human, therefore, you have needs. Your coworkers are human. They have needs. Your company is not human, but it has needs. Disappointingly, the Venn diagram overlap of these needs is often slim. And when that's the case, you need to make sure you are keeping track of your needs. You are the only person who can truly prioritize you. Even companies that value your creative work wish that you were more like a machine, that you could bring your creative mind and problem solving to bear on a challenge and just grind it out until it's solved and then move smoothly on to the next one forever and ever and ever. Except you aren't a machine. You're more like a houseplant. You need sunshine, water, rest, you know. But the system that wants you to be a cog can be turned to your advantage in prioritizing your needs. Pointer number 4, block your calendar with inarguable truth. My Tuesdays can be rough. I have a lot of one-on-ones on Tuesdays to avoid needing to reschedule based on someone's long weekend. Bonus pointer for you, schedule with others Tuesday through Thursday to avoid needing to reschedule. I will absolutely work through lunch or schedule over lunch, but I am a monster of a human being when I am both hungry from lack of food and I'm cranky from interacting with other humans in meetings for hours on end. There is a simple solution, a calendar block titled, Lauren Deserves Lunch. I've literally never had anyone schedule over that block. People have explicitly told me that they were going to schedule during that time, and then when they read what it was, they couldn't bring themselves to do it. When I am tempted to ignore that block or schedule over it, I'm confronted by the fact that I do, in fact, deserve lunch. And that past Lauren is manipulating the system to do what's best for future Lauren, which is great, because usually past Lauren leaves things half committed and like notes that are unintelligible, and so I appreciate when past Lauren does some good things for future Lauren. It works best because it preemptively addresses the biggest threat to my lunch block, which is, of course, me. To prioritize yourself, you must know yourself. I am likely to ignore or work through lunch, but I also know that makes me an ogre. I'm never really enthusiastic about getting out for exercise, but it is wild how much better I feel when I've gotten out for a run. It makes a huge difference for me mental health-wise, but also when I've been banging my head against a work problem, the time away and the endorphins do wonders to get me to a new solution. There's lots of things you should try to know about yourself. Shortly into my pandemic-dictated remote work life, I discovered that I could not focus on Zoom presentations. The whole internet is right there. The work I was doing before the meeting is still up on the other monitor. The best thing I have found to keep me paying attention and actually absorbing the content? Folding laundry. No nervous laughter. When I tell people this, I often get nervous laughter because they assume that it's either a joke or that I'm admitting that I am not actually tuned into the work content that is happening. But it's not the case. It is the best thing that I can do for me to keep myself focused on the content being presented. It may not work for you, and frankly, I don't care. The point here is explicitly not you. It is that I have taken the time to figure out what works for me. What's your relationship with paid time off? You probably get it. If PTO keeps you recharged, use it as the tool that it is. Do you use it? Yeah? When was the last time you really took time off work? Oh, you're going to take some time off work. Gonna wrap up this last part of the project, take off a Friday. Something else came up? Maybe you'll get it next week. Companies don't want their employees to burn out. You probably don't want to burn out. If PTO keeps you recharged, use it strategically. And if it doesn't, figure out what works for you. Pointer number 5, regarding burnout. You can't light yourself on fire to keep others warm. I learned this one the hard way. The story is not light or funny, and I won't share it here. But I ask you to take your mental health as seriously as you do your physical health. And if you don't take your physical health seriously, get that straightened out too. I've heard a few different variations on this one. You can't pour from an empty cup. Put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. But the notion of lighting yourself on fire to keep others warm is what resonates with me. Because long term, it doesn't do anyone good. Obviously, for you in the short term, it is terrible. But once you've blazed out, the folks that you were trying to keep warm in the first place are now left without you there to help them. Prioritize yourself by using your words. Teacher Harriet. People don't know what you need unless you tell them. In a perfect world, your manager is tuned in to your every need and meets them with aplomb every time they arise. In our world, your manager is hopefully doing their best, and that best can be along a wide range of actualities. Do you need recognition of good work to feel job satisfaction? Tell them. Tell them what kind of recognition makes you feel appreciated. Tell them what kind of events you need recognition for. Do you get flustered when they present you with information on the spot and want your reaction? Tell them. It's unlikely that their goal is to fluster you. Once you've told them, it also makes it much easier to respond with, let me think about this and get back to you. I'd like to give it fair consideration. Are you most productive in the mornings and their calendaring habits are screwing with your schedule? Guess what? You should tell them. You can't control what they do with the information. But if you're sitting there, week after week, month after month, simmering in your frustration over no one saying, hey, Lauren, you really nailed that talk last week. Simmering like that makes your life crappier, and it's unlikely to get better on its own. And when your simmer becomes a boil and you rage quit, you didn't give people the chance to make your life better. Maybe nothing would have changed, but if it's something that's big enough you'd quit over it, it's big enough that you should make an effort to change it. Make the effort to advocate for yourself in good faith, but it's not always going to pan out. Why? Because everyone else is people too. Okay, so we've covered the fact that you are a person. You have needs, you have a responsibility to get those needs met. But that brings us to N+1, everyone else. They're people too. Your colleagues are people, your bosses are people, your C-suites, your investors, your customers, all people. It can be hard to think of them as such, but they are imperfect. They have needs. They have their own giant story where they're the protagonist and you are a non-player character. My 5-year-old daughter came to me the other day and asked me where her teachers go when school is closed. Cute moment, right? Aw. She thinks her teachers all live in the gym together at night when she's not there. Easy to say, aw, kids, so simple. But think about it. Not even when you were 5, but when you were in high school. Did you really think about any of your teachers as living proper human lives where their time at the school was just the hours that they were at work? How about yourself today? How often do you consider the humanity of the people that you work closely with? Probably pretty often. Small talk exists. Weekends, pets, sports ball, lunches. But how about the people that you don't work so closely with? How about particularly the people or the teams that always seem to be difficult? Difficult people. Parenting humans has given me more capacity for dealing with difficult people than I ever would have wished for myself. Before you have kids, you have these stars in your eyes about how you will shape their young minds and teach them about bugs and bake cookies together and all sorts of pleasant sitcom-y moments. But then shortly after you deal with babies, you find out that not only are they useless, they are wicked fragile, and they are constantly trying to off themselves in new and creative ways. Parents, I hear you. Some advice I was given to prevent becoming resentful of my own deeply wanted children is pointer number 6. They're not giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time. Flipping your perspective from the outcome that you are experiencing to what might be happening for someone else is a super valuable effort. Rarely is it someone's primary goal to make your life more difficult. No one thinks they're the bad guy. To the contrary, humans are happiest working in cooperation. If you've got a difficult person on your hands, there is a lot of merit in considering what their motivations might be. And, as in almost all things, if you are unclear on what the motivations are, more communication can be hugely advantageous. Pointer number 7, curious, not furious. Curious, not furious works in all kinds of situations where someone has you ruffled. Instead of coming in bombastic, hurling accusations, see if you can ask some level-headed questions about the situation. More often than not, I find this points out where a misunderstanding has been had, and we all get to the solution much faster and easier than we would have without the clarification. But sometimes you find out you were right to be ruffled. And this one is almost a bonus. Now not only do you get to be furious, but you get to be righteously furious. If you are doing curious, not furious right, you will end up in many fewer furious situations. But you won't eliminate them because Some people suck. Some people suck. It's not your job to fix them, but you do need to work from an assumption of positive intent for a while before you give up on them. Thinking about others' perspectives is a gift that you give them. This gift improves the lives of everyone involved. But they don't get to be shitty and have you come up with excuses for their bad behavior. There's a difference between being understanding and enabling that bad behavior. And on the flip side, you don't get to be shitty and then claim, oh, I'm an imperfect human, I'm doing my best. Sometimes, you are the difficult person. Evaluate your own motivations. The wisdom of Daniel Tiger, or for the older generations, Mr. Rogers, has been invaluable in both my home and professional life. Catchy tunes, convinces your kid to see the dentist. Pointer number 8, when you feel so mad that you want to roar, take a deep breath and count to 4. Now, anybody who knows Daniel knows that then you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the whole thing. Do you need a minute or a day to be able to constructively engage with a person or situation? Use your words and make your needs known. Are you feeling defensive or personally attacked? Deep breath, go back to curious, not furious, and try to be even-handed. Even armed with the wisdom of Daniel Tiger, you are not going to get this perfect. You will screw up. Apologize when you screw up. Good apologies are not difficult, and I have rarely heard them. Acknowledge your actions, acknowledge the effect they had, describe how you will make it better for next time, and then do better next time. If you're using the word but, you're probably doing it wrong. I know I screwed this up, but how was I supposed to know that you didn't chew that guy out? Instead, I screwed this up. It was my intent to improve communication for next time, but I clearly didn't have all the facts. And my assumptions made you look like the bad guy. I will be extra careful next time to double check my facts. Also, sorry, Mike. But thank you for providing me with a recent example of where I fucked up, and I had an opportunity to give a good apology. If you find yourself being difficult and you feel stuck there, go back to your needs. Go back to knowing yourself. Go back to your why. Why do you care? What are you trying to accomplish? Your why can be big picture. I want financial stability. Or it can be specific. I want to get this feature shipped. I find the big picture one to be most powerful when you are trying to get some perspective. Don't lose sight of your why. I worked in supporting tech for the nonprofit community in my county for a number of years. As an aside, and as the president of their board, I am obligated to inform you that DaneNet does incredible work to address the digital divide in Dane County. There are great organizations all over the country working towards the same goals. Check out digitalinclusion.org. It's the website of the National Digital Inclusion Alliance for ways that you or your organization can get involved. Working in the nonprofit community, as you might imagine, the budget for technical equipment or repair can be quite slim. There's a lot of people trying to make do. These are people dealing with some serious societal ills: domestic violence, child hunger, homelessness, all sorts of big problems. And they are also some of the calmest about receiving crappy news about their technology because they know the technology is not the point. They had perspective on their work. If a report was going to be delayed by 45 minutes, they'd shrug and work with it when they got it. Inconvenient, but not worth getting worked up over. You should get some perspective on your life. Think about what matters to you and why. What you want to accomplish and why. Pointer number 9, life is too short to spend it grinding your teeth about something that doesn't really matter to you. But, as with all other areas in my talk, recognize that your why is not the one and only truth. Everyone has different motivations. Yours isn't right. Theirs isn't wrong. There are many different paths and purposes for people on this earth. Consider if your needs and values are being met. And if not, reshape your world so that you feel accomplished in this one life you get. Consider the needs and values of others so that your presence is an improvement to the lives that you touch. You're a person. Everyone else is people too. Act accordingly.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.